Order. Madam Clerk. Madam? Yeah.
I'd go with item 1.
Yes, ma'am.
Item 1 is a presentation of the fourth quarter ending December 31st, 2023 investment reports for the 1945 and 1949 pension plans, along with the January 2024 update. Heather Ziegler, Morgan Stanley.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. I'm glad to be with you. It's been a good kickoff to the end of the year, but we're going to go through and kind of review what happened in the fourth quarter of the year and how the market ended up for the 2023 year, which is your fiscal year for your plans. If you want to, we'll flip over. We're going to talk about the market a little bit. So if we can kind of hover over this page, you can look at the capital market indices. You can see the returns there. If you really think about how investors are going to likely remember 2023, I mean, they're really likely to remember it as a great year. The S&P 500 was up nearly 25%, almost erasing all of 2022's bear market. Bonds also turned positive in the year end, which was a real gift that we were really worried about midway through the third quarter that wasn't going to happen. If you think about where economists and strategists and financial advisors, 2023 for us is going to be one that we're going to study for many, many years to come, trying to figure out how, on one level, the history was able to just really shock us and see where the market happened to end up. The simple narrative might look like that inflation fell faster than we anticipated that it was going to, and the stock market seemed to just rise in advance of that. But that really kind of oversimplifies what happened last year. When you think about that, this was the first time in decades that we had really rapidly rising interest rates that did not destroy the aggregate demand, and it did not dent corporate profits. That's thanks to the roughly 15 years that we had of balance sheet repair and the negative real rates, and the U.S. economy was just essentially rendered interest rate insensitive through all of that building. Excess cash, just kind of turbocharged by that fiscal stimulus that we had last year, provided a much bigger cushion, more than anticipated. We had punitive mortgage rates actually rose through the end of the year, provided a much bigger dampening than we had thought initially to home building. Structural imbalances supported housing price appreciation, which was positive. When we think about the environment that we've been through, traditional recession indicators really all failed last year. As the models really look at the variables of the different economic indicators that are out there, manufacturing surveys, bank credit growth, yield curve inversion, economic strength that was really kind of obscured, the vast liquidity, we would have thought that the bank failures that we saw early in the year, through everything that we had seen systemically, we would have thought this would have pushed us over into a recession. We did not see that. What we have seen is that so far, we are heading into that soft landing scenario. We're hopeful that that's the way it works out, where we don't encounter a recession. Interest rates are expected in this year to come down. We saw that the Fed paused through the end of the year, but the expectation for 2024 is that we are going to see interest rate increases. This sets us up for a little bit more optimism coming into this year. The profit forecasts so far are returning to positive rates of growth. And we're thinking that lower rates should really unlock the deal environment that we saw for mergers and acquisitions that really was out of play last year. So we're starting to see that pick back up for this year. And so really when we think about 2024, how do we balance that? We want to make sure that you're looking at having diversified portfolios that are really balanced between stocks and bonds, and you'll see that when we look at the portfolio performance. We also want to make sure that we're having diversification U.S. and from domestically and internationally, because we do think the international markets could pick back up this year as well, as we do see really the dollar is starting to lose a little bit of its strength, which will be a positive for the international markets. And so we're watching that. CPI, at the end of the year, right at 3.4%, came up a little bit from November, was up again in January numbers that we've seen so far. And through the end of the year, the unemployment rate was right at 3.7%. And so we're cautiously optimistic for the year going forward. When we take a look at the S&P, we mentioned this, and this is on the page that you're seeing here. You can see through the year, S&P was up 26.29%, which includes the dividend that it pays. We had the Russell Mid-Cap Index, which is your mid-size stocks, up 17.23%, and the Russell 2000 Index up 16.93%. Look at the sectors of that for the last fourth quarter. You can see the top performing sector was actually real estate, and the worst performing sector was energy stocks, down 6.94%. And so when you look at that S&P 500 number, it seems like it was a great year. But when we think about the fact that about 70% of that return came from 7 stocks, it doesn't seem as quite as good when you get under the level and get under the hood of that. And so where we're expecting this year, and we saw this starting in November and December, we saw that really that narrow market performance that we saw started to get a little breadth and started to move out where all of the stocks are starting to kind of pick up. And we're hoping that this year we'll continue to see more breadth in that. We don't necessarily, it makes us a little nervous when we see 7 stocks moving the entire market. I believe we talked about that when we were here last time. If you look at the developed markets on page 3, you can see this is just looking at the developed is the MSCI EFA index for the year to date up 18.24% and 10.4 for the quarter. The emerging markets up for the quarter 7.9% and year to date up 10.27%. The U.S. bested the international markets wholesale. When we look at the fixed income, you can see the Barclays Aggregate Index up 5.53% on the year and up 6.82% on the quarter. Obviously, we kept most of our return, all of our return, to make us positive through that fourth quarter of the year because we saw interest rates come back down. We take a look at the 1949 plan. You can see that we started the year with $64,889,609. We had net distributions of just over $5,313,000. And an investment gain for the year of $10,655,931. That gave us a total ending market value of $70,231,558. If you look on the left-hand side of that chart, you can see the breakdown by percentages. We had equities ending the year at domestic equities at 59.35%, international at 14.41%, which brought us to total equities of just over 73.7%. Fixed income of 25.5%, and cash of 0.76%. We had some transfers out at the very end of the year, so our cash position was a little bit lower than normal, which we'll be rectifying. You look at the performance, you can see your large cap value manager up 12.68% for the quarter and 16% for your fiscal year, ahead of their indexes for both time periods. Your large cap growth manager, large cap core manager at Atlanta Sosnoff, for the quarter up 13.5%, and for the fiscal year up 30.78%, ahead of their benchmarks for both time periods. MDT is your all-weather, all-cap manager. They're going to have a little bit of large, mid, and small. For the quarter up 13.8%, and for the fiscal up 24.26%. They were ahead for the quarter and right in line for the year end for the fiscal year. We have your 2 international managers, Lazard, which is your international value manager, up 10.4 for the quarter and 17.8 for the fiscal, in line with their benchmarks. And then we had Thornburg, which is your international growth manager for the quarter, up 8.4% and 15.77 for the fiscal. That brings us to your fixed income manager, which is PIMCO, for the quarter up 6.9% and for the fiscal year up 6.5%. So we're glad to see them positive after we came through 2022 the way we did. So that brings the total performance for the 1949 pension plan up 17.09% for the fiscal year, which was a great year. I'm sure one-year actuaries they'll be happy to smooth those numbers through. Any questions on the 49 plan before I move to the 45 plan?
No questions? I see you in the queue. Okay. All right. Let's continue. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. We'll look at, this is the update through the end of January. You can see it's positive, another 0.5% through January. Right now it's $70,613,980. That takes us to the 1945 plan. If you look at the same chart we looked at just a moment ago, the year-to-date through the beginning market value at $4,738,868, obviously a much more mature plan. Net contributions out were just over $455,000, and the market gain of $646,000 brought us to $4,929,866. If you look on the left-hand side, you can see the breakdown by percentages. Because this is considered a small plan by the state of Georgia, we have less equity and we have no international exposure in this plan. And so your total equity was right there at 52.7%, in line with what the government says in code. And then the fixed income at 44.22%. Had a little more cash in this one at just over 3% at the end of the year. Look at performance, you see very similar because we have the same lineup of managers excluding the international managers. Your large cap value portfolio for the fiscal up 16.12 and 12.67 for the quarter. Your large cap core manager up 30.9% for the fiscal and 13.68 for the quarter. Your all cap core manager up 13.7 on the quarter and 24.28 over the fiscal. And then your fixed income manager up 6.86 for the quarter and 6.5 for the fiscal year, which brings you for a total return for the 45 plan up 14.32% for the year. Against historical cash flow. And then so far for the year ending January, right now we're at 0.3%, just over $4,944,000 in the plan. Are there any questions on the 1945 plan?
Seeing none, let's continue.
Okay. If there are no questions, that ends my report. I'm finished with everything unless you have anything about the market, any of the plans in detail.
Chair recognizes interim administrator.
Mayor Johnson, I motion that we receive this report as information.
I have a motion. Is there a second? Without objection. Without objection. There is no objection, so this information is received. This report is received as information. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you for having me. I appreciate being able to come and give you all some good numbers.
Thank you so much. Okay. All right. I'm sorry.
On to the
Mayor
addendum?
Johnson, I motion that we accept the addendum agenda item to our agenda.
All
Thank
right,
you.
without objection. Hearing no objection, we have received the addendum item information. Madam Clerk, do you need to read this into the record, please?
Yes, sir, I can.
Yes, please.
The addendum item is to discuss years vested for new employees.
Thank you so much. Chair recognizes Commissioner Sean Franton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate y'all allowing this discussion to happen. When we had the discussion with the department heads back in last summer, it was evident that the pay was, the driving factor around why people come to work for this government. And then I went to the retirement banquet in December, and there was more 5-year employee retirements than anything. And I've been asked by many people about this, and I guess my first question, I don't know who it would be to, but when is the last time we talked about the years of service and vested time on the pension committee? And have we ever talked about it?
All right, Madam. All right. Director Williams.
To my recollection, the plan in that regard has not been substantially changed since it was adopted in 2008. It currently has a 5-year vesting for all regular employees. So that was a part of the original plan design, and it has not been addressed. There have been several changes to the plan, such as the multiplier, which was increased, and a couple other things over the years, but the period of vesting has not changed.
Which means, and just for the clarity of the people watching and at home, like with 5 years, that means that basically after 5 years, if they're no longer, whether it's an elected official or an employee, they can basically take their benefits with them, still paying for them, but they still have the option of benefits from health insurance aspect.
They have to, and I'm going to ask Ms. Rooker to step in with this as well. But first of all, in order to qualify for any benefits, as you're talking about health insurance, et cetera, they have to take a distribution. They have to be eligible to retire under the pension. Now, at 5 years, you could conceivably retire. The age for normal retirement is 65. They are eligible to retire at 50, but they are penalized down to the level where they would take 20% of their normal distribution. And a 5-year distribution means that they would effectively get 10% of their highest average 5-year salary as their benefit. Reducing that, they would get 20% of that 10% at age 50.
Okay. And again, I just want to bring this up. I think this is something that this government ought to look at just because of the amount of money that we pay out with the city matches. I think that it would help turnover because you got lots of people in public safety 5 years and then they're moving on. And I think this is something that this government, I don't even know how we even have the discussion on what it looks like, but, and again, this is not for current employees, it wouldn't be, I just think that moving forward, this would save the taxpayers a lot of money. If we looked at a GMEB's pension amended years, I think that 15 is the right years, but I think that we'll have pushback on that, obviously for different reasons. But, you know, if somebody was to leave, you know, they would still be able to have that city match in the pension until they reach the age, but it's just something that feels like people are coming in this government and I don't want to say taking advantage of, but it seems like it is when you see that many people on a retirement 5 years that only have 5 years of service. Like why, in my mind, like if they're here for 5 years, like that's not that long. And to see that many people at a banquet under 5 years, as well as other people have asked me about this situation. I just think that this is a topic of discussion that this government ought to look at for the future because we are getting our salaries more in line. And we've already heard from department heads that it's not about it's not about the benefits, it's about the salaries. And this would save the taxpayers a lot of money down the road, as well as it would help with retention and lower our turnover rate. So that's the only reason I want to have the discussion. I hope if there's any comments or any thoughts, I just want to bring it up. Thank you.
You got it. All right, Commissioner Brandon Garrett.
Thank you, Mayor. And Commissioner Franum, thank you for bringing this up. I know that even at the state level, there's a minimum of 10 years before you're vested. I know when my wife was a public school teacher, she had to wait 10 years before she was vested in their program. So I definitely think that it's something worthwhile taking a look at. I'd love to see a discussion maybe at the next committee cycle on finance, on what the cost savings could potentially be if we move from 5 years to 10 years.
Thank you, Commissioner. Chair recognizes the interim administrator.
Commissioners, I wanted to bring a couple of things to your attention. One, the listing from the retirement banquet that showed employees that were retiring. Not all of those employees are of retirement age and therefore will not receive retirement benefits. They have the option, which most of our employees do because they have paid into Augusta's pension, they freeze it and then come back at the appropriate retirement age. And so in looking at the listing, of the almost 60 employees that retired, 7 of them, as you mentioned, have service years of less than 5. It was also noted during our retention presentation that I gave to the commission back in 2022, majority of our employees, our retention challenges come with those that have been here anywhere from 1 to 5 years. So that is a challenging point. And it's also noted that research has shown that the average vesting period is anywhere from 3 to 10 years, which, as Commissioner Garrett just stated, he knows of several entities that do 10 years. I've already requested vesting periods for municipalities that are comparable in size to Augusta, but of those that I've already received, 5 years is about the comparable number.
Thank you, Interim Administrator. Commissioner Franum, you have anything additional? All right. Yes, ma'am. Director, will you turn your mic on for me, please?
Sorry. We are currently in the process with GMA to do our annual actuarial study. I could add this for them to look at. Now, please keep in mind that it's not going to be an immediate turnaround. We normally don't get the results from the actuarial study until about July, August or so. But they would be in the best position to give us some level of financial impact to the change, if that's the will of the body.
I just appreciate the information. Again, this is the pension committee. That's why I asked to bring it. Y'all are in charge on this one. So thank y'all for all the dialogue.
We can do that.
Thank you, Director Williams. Is there any other additional business before this committee?
Item 2.
All right, item 2.
Sir, item number 2.
All right.
is to receive as information the amount of 3.7% for the COLA for the 1945 and 1949 pension plans according to the plan documents. The index for all items CPI-U for the South Region as published by the Bureau of Labor and Statistics increased 3.7% for the 12 months ending December 2022. This increase is in accordance with plan documents and will be effective on March 1st, 2024 benefit payments.
So there's a motion and a second. I guess we have to vote on this. There's a motion and a second. Let's vote. No, are we on? Let's receive it as information. Is that okay? Is there any objection to that? All right, it's in compliance. Madam Clerk, seeing no objection, we're going to receive this as information without objection.
Yes, sir.
All right. Does that conclude our business as part of the Pension Committee? All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. This meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you so much. ladies and gentlemen. It's Tuesday. We're going to get started. I'm going to ask my colleagues to start making their way to their seats. Madam Clerk, call this meeting to order.
Ms. Knight, is she? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our invocation today will be shared with us by Pastor Luke Knighty, Assistant Pastor, Local Outreach and Mercy, First Presbyterian Church, Augusta. After which we will like to ask our special guest today, Ms. Sherry Bailey, if she would, from the Georgia Municipal Association, if she will stand and lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Will you please stand?
Let's pray. Oh, gracious God, it is good for us to come to you today and to give thanks, for you have given us a great city to live in. You've given us a great place to raise our families in. You've given us a great place to work in and to live in. God, we're thankful for our leaders from the past and from the day who have created this place to be a place to live in that is safe, a place to live in that is thriving and fruitful. God, I pray for the work of our commission and our mayor today. God, would you grant them wisdom that they might continue to make wise decisions for every citizen of our city? God, would you grant them the ability to see things that others may not see? Would you give them the ability to make decisions that are beyond their own abilities? Would you give them a unity that would cause them to work together in ways that this city's not seen in the past? God, would you give each of us a heart for our neighbor, not just for ourselves? God, would you help us to build the best place we can be for the city of Augusta? God, we ask for your hand of grace to lead us forward as we walk through difficult times, as we battle through difficult things to come up with solutions for our city. God, would you give us wisdom? And God, in places where we may have disagreements today, God, I pray that you would help us to be unified as one people under your God, as we're about to say in this pledge. God, we ask you for help in these things because, God, we know in our own sin, in our own ways, we will not be able to accomplish these things. But God, we ask for your hand of mercy to fall on us in such a way that we might work together for your glory and for our peace in this world. In Christ's name, amen. Let's pray. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As always, we thank God for allowing one of his ministers to come and pray for us and over us. Thank you for that prayer for unity, peace, and mercy from God, our Father. By these presents be it known that Assistant Pastor Luke Knighty, Local Outreach and Mercy, First Presbyterian Church of God, is the chaplain of the day. May his spiritual guidance and civic leadership serve as an example for all citizens of Augusta. Given my hand this 20th day of February, 2024, Garnett L. Johnson, Mayor. Thank you so much, Pastor.
Pastor Luke.
Pastor Luke, I have a colleague that wants to ask a few words, okay? Chair recognizes Commissioner Brandon Garrett.
As for a point of privilege, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Pastor Luke, I just want to say that I appreciate the work that you put into herding the cats that are part of the City Serve Committee each year, and just for the work that you do through us. Just so thankful to God for the way that you lead us and the heart that you have for our city. I look forward to serving with you again this year, and thank you again.
Thank you, Pastor, for that prayer. Thank you for your leadership. Ms. Sherry Bailey, thank you so much for being here and for leading us in that Pledge of Allegiance. Madam Clerk, let's continue.
Yeah, okay. Call your attention to item number A. Congratulations to our 2024 January Years of Service recipients. Ms. Ruckert.
Good afternoon, Mayor Johnson, commissioners. I'm sorry, can you hear me? Okay. Commissioners, interim administrator, our distinguished guests, and citizens of Augusta. It gives HR great pleasure to recognize our January Years of Service recipients. For the month of January 2024, we have 23 employees celebrating 5 to 50 years of service with Augusta. This afternoon, we'd like to recognize our 25 to 50 years of service recipients. For the month of January, the total years of service and institutional knowledge being celebrated today is 340 years. So when I call your names, please come forward. Susan Stewart, Superior Court, 25 years. Harvey West, Utilities, 25 years. Brandy Dixon, the Sheriff's Office, 25 years. Cornell Haynes, Augusta Regional Airport, 25 years. And finally, but of course not least, we are excited to recognize Sir Lester Harrison, Parks and Recs, 45 years.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
May I say 2 or 3 words?
You certainly can.
Well, go ahead and do the picture. He can't listen and take a picture at the same time. Mr. Bowe, as we called him, has been at May Park for about, 40 years? Well, you've been at May Park 45 years. Well, I remember when I was a young boy growing up, I matriculated, played baseball, football at May Park, as did a lot of young people who went off to college, who went out and did great things in their lives. But Mr. Bowe was a great factor in helping a lot of young men and women grow up and be great citizens in Augusta and around the world. I know they just said 45 years. They didn't tell you all the different stuff, I just say stuff, that he would do for folks. How many folks he helped to go to college? How many folks he helped to put in the world to do great things? So I just want to take my hat off. I've already taken my hair off. Take my hat off to Mr. Bowe, as we would call him, and just, shake his hand and pat him on the back and say, job well done. Thank you, sir. Also, Mr. Mayor, may I have another point of privilege?
Yes, sir.
You don't have to get up, but hold your hand up, Miss Yolanda Greenwood. Yolanda buried her mother this past week, and she's been a great worker for us here in Richmond County and the Recreation Department. I'm not sure what other department she's worked in I heard she's been over there 31 years. I've only known her over there for about 2 or 3. I don't know if she's working or not or what have you, but just wanted to acknowledge the fact that she buried her mother and that we're with you. Thank you, man.
Thank you, Commissioner, for those acknowledgments. And you know, I always say sometimes at funerals is an opportunity where you get a chance to know someone's full name. Mr. Sir Lester Harrison, I've been knowing you all my life, and Commissioner from the 5th is right. You have helped a lot of young people from East Augusta, and I was one of those people. Bo was my coach. So I didn't know his name until just now. I know him as Coach Bo. So thank you, sir, for your commitment to this community, to so many young people, and he's still doing it. But it's a great privilege to honor you here today. To all of the honorees, congratulations, and thank you for your service to Augusta, Richmond County. All right. So, Madam Clerk, we have a guest that's here to make another presentation.
Yes, sir. We're
correct?
going to ask Mayor Pro Tem Brandon Garrett and Commissioner Catherine McKnight if you will please come forward. We have a special presentation which will be shared with us today by Ms. Sherry Bailey from the Georgia Municipal Association.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson, and thank you to the Commission for allowing me to be here today. I am Sherry Bailey with the Georgia Municipal Association. GMA and the Augusta Richmond County have always partnered well together. We provide a lot of training to the city officials, city staff, elected officials, and we really appreciate all that you do to work with us. So I'm proud to be here today to recognize first Mr. Brandon Garrett for his Certificate of Achievement. The Certificate of Achievement is for city officials and elected officials who complete at least 72 hours of training with the Georgia Municipal Association. Also here today, I wanted to present to Ms. Catherine McKnight, who just completed in the fall of 2023 the Robert E. Knox Leadership Academy. This academy is named after the mayor of City of Thompson. He was the mayor of City of Thompson from 1979 to 2007. He was also GMA president. This Leadership Institute is an intensive multi-day seminar that focuses on helping city officials enhance and sharpen their leadership skills. Facilitated in part by a nationally recognized training and development consultant, the Leadership Institute includes an interactive simulation exercise that confronts participants with the daily problems of governing and ultimately demonstrates the necessity of communication and collaboration in achieving good governance. As having gone through this leadership program myself a couple years ago, it is a huge honor to complete this training.
Ms. Bailey, thank you so much for being here again. It's always great to get the opportunity to congratulate colleagues on their hard work. For many of you that may not know, serving in these roles requires a lot of extra hours and a lot of time, a lot of commitment. And as you see today, we've recognized two that have gone above and beyond what they've been called to do, not only serve the citizens of Augusta, Richmond County, but also to go further their learning of how we run this government and the things we need to do. So congratulations to Commissioners Brandon Garrett and Catherine Smith McKnight. All right, Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir.
Let's continue.
All right. Call your attention to the consent portion of our agenda. Under our planning section, if there are any objectors to any of the planning petitions that will be announced today, will you please signify your objection once the petition is read? Call your attention to item number 1, It's a request for a rezoning from a Zone R3C multiple family residential to a Zone B1 business affecting property located at 602 3rd Street. Item number 2 is a request for rezoning from an R1A one-family residential to a Zone R3A multiple family residential affecting property located at 3202 Rushing Road. Item number 3 is a request for a special exception for a property located at 3202 Rushing Road, a Zone R1A one-family residential. Item number 4 is a request to deny a petition requesting a rezoning from a Zone R1A one-family residential to a Zone B1 neighborhood business affecting property located at 3333 Riceboro Road. Item number 5 is a request for approval regarding a rezoning from a Zone R1B one-family residential to a Zone R1C one-family residential affecting property at 1530 C and S Drive. Item number 6 is a request for approval of rezoning from a Zone R1 one-family residential, planned use development, professional office, B1 neighborhood business, B2 general business, affecting property located on Berksman's Road, Hillside Lane, Washington Road, and Stanley Drive. Item number 7 is a requesting a rezoning from a Zone R1C one-family residential to a Zone R2 two-family residential affecting property located at 1720 Watkins Street. Item number 8 is a request for a rezoning from a Zone R1C one-family residential and an R3B multiple family residential to a Zone R3C multiple family residential affecting property located at 728 Hurd Avenue and 2083 Heckle Street. Are there any objectors to any of those planning petitions?
Madam Clerk, I see one objection. Sir, what item are you objecting to?
Item number 4.
Item number 4.
And I know there's somebody out there objecting to 2 and 3.
All right, you got to raise your hands. You got to state it, sir. What are you objecting to?
We're objecting to the denial, not objecting to the proposal.
Correct.
Well,
So which item?
2 and 3.
2 and 3. All right, Madam Clerk.
And I'm looking at somebody, and she didn't stand up. She act like she in the other world. There you
All
go.
right, there you go. All right, madam, what you objection to? 2 and 3. All right, you got it. All right, Madam Clerk, we got objectors for items 2, 3, and 4.
And I want to pull 4.
It's already, so we got to pull it.
It's already pulled?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Just going to go through the public services. All right. All right.
also, under the public service portion of our agenda, just for public notice, item number 9 is a motion to approve a 1-year suspension of the alcohol license for Alan Varselli's Club Climax, doing business as Club Rain, located at 1855 Gordon Highway. Are there any objectors?
Any objectors? Yes.
Okay.
We have an objector. All right. All right, Madam Clerk.
Okay. Our consent agenda consists of items 1 through
Miss-
20.
Ms. Clerk, Madam Clerk, we have one addendum that we need to.
Yes, sir, I was going
Oh, you
to
can,
add
okay.
that.
All right, I'll let you do it on your, you follow your.
Okay,
your
we can add.
roundness. All right.
Okay. Our consent agenda consists of items 1 through 20, with items 2, 3, 4 being pulled. Item number 9.
Okay.
So now we're considering our consent agenda item.
Okay.
Are we wanting that to be added to the consent agenda?
Yes, ma'am. If you don't mind for the
Okay.
record, read and make sure.
Our consent agenda is a motion to approve entering into a memorandum of understanding between Augusta and the Greater Augusta Arts Council for the commissioning and installation of a commemorative art sculpture honoring a historical African-American caddies of Augusta and authorize the mayor to execute the MOU and all related documents.
Are there any objections? It's been added. Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Okay.
Let's add it. Okay. All right. Is that the last item that we need, the addendum item? I'm getting ready to go to one. All right. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 7th, Commissioner Sean Fry.
I think I'm good, Mayor, because number 9 got pulled, and we consented the addendum, so I am good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 8th, Commissioner Brandon Garrett.
Yes, sir. I'd like to add items number 26 and 29 to the consent agenda.
26 and 29. All right. I don't see any objections to that. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 10th, Commissioner Wayne Guilfoyle.
From the 10th. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On agenda item number 29, can the maker or the one who added it add that we reflect back that it starts January 1st instead of this pay period?
All right, starting January 1st. Who's the requester? 29?
Number 29, he's asking the effective date be January 1st of 2024.
Is there any objection to that? Colleagues? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, let's make that change, please. Okay. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 1st, Commissioner Jordan Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to consent items 22, 23, 24, 25, and that's it. Thank you. 22, 23, 24, 25.
Okay, 22. Seeing no objection to
I have
that.
a question on agenda item number 23.
So 23, there is an objection, so we cannot add that one. All right. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 8th, Commissioner Brandon Garrett.
Motion to approve the agenda as stated.
I have a motion and a second from the Commissioner from the 7th, Frantham. Frantham, it's a second.
Can you restate those consent items, the pulled items again, please?
Sure. Items number 2, number 3, number 4, number 9.
All right. We have a motion. Commissioner from the 1st, you good? All right. We have a motion and a second. Colleagues are voting. Yes, sir. Commissioner from the 10th.
Yes, sir.
All right. There's been a ask for clarification on your ask of moving to January. Can you clarify your request, please?
Absolutely, I will. And I was going to actually pull this, but I'm glad I didn't. The employees of Augusta and Richmond County Fire Department, the HR director had met last year in January, and the effective date was supposed to be, they were supposed to have it together by July of last year. Some reason did not get completed as far as this compression on the salaries. Then it was going to be January of this year. Here we are, February, and it's just now coming across our table. So out of respect to the fire department, that we, as far as the pay, resort back to beginning of January. I spoke with the administrator about it 2.5 weeks ago, and she said just put this on, make it as far as a motion, and that's what I'm doing.
Ranger Turner Brown, you shared some concern about that.
Yes. This appears to amount as a retroactivity of pay, which is not permissible unless there was a contract to do so with the firefighters before they worked that pay. You cannot go retroactive on a pay, which would amount to a gratuity.
All right. Well, Commissioner, are you willing to strike that portion of the motion?
I would like to hear from the administrator because that discussion was never brought up.
Administrator Downs.
Sure, Commissioner Guilfoyle, you're exactly right. It was never brought up only because that information was not known to me at the time.
Right.
When you made the request of me to have the RPA backdated to January 1st. That was not within my authority. So yes, I instructed you, or I recommended that you make a motion on the floor to have it backdated. And now hearing from the law department that does result in the form of a gratuity. So that information was not known to me at the time in which I recommended such to you.
All right.
Thank you.
Commissioner from the 10th, are you willing to, we have to strike that part of the motion? Yes. You good with that? All right, Madam Clerk, we have to strike that part of the motion, please, for number 29.
And for clarification on our agenda item, it shows item 23 as added. It was pulled, so it will be under the pull items.
You will be under the pulled item.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. We voting?
24.
Already done? We're waiting on the clerk to publish it. Wow. Oh, come on. Don't you publish that, Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, you need to strike that. Don't you publish that. Don't you publish that, Madam Clerk. Don't you publish that. You look like a basketball.
All right.
score.
Let me ask, are there any objectors to our consent agenda?
No.
No. It carries with no objections. It's unanimous.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's go from top to bottom, please.
Okay. We'll start with item number 2. It's a request to deny. Let me ask the planning directors, items number 2 and 3 companion items?
Yeah.
They are? Okay. Items number 2 and 3. A request to deny a petition of a rezoning from a zone R1A, one-family residential, to a zone R3A, multiple family residential, affecting property located at 3202 Rushing Road. Item number 3 is a request to deny a special exception for property located at 3202 Rushing Road, zone R1A, one-family residential. We do have objectors.
Thank you
Mr.
so
Mayor.
much. Madam Director.
All right, good afternoon. So both of these items are coming before you, and the applicant is Charlotte Garnes, and it is in regards to a residential property at 3202 Rushing Road. So that's where Windsor Spring and the intersection of 520 meet. So it's right there on that little sharp corner. So that's the area we're talking about right there. It could almost have a Windsor Spring address if you want to point a reference for there. So they're looking for a rezoning from R1A to R3A to allow for a boarding house. A boarding house requires a special exception. So they will anybody who wants a boarding house will have to come before you. So in this particular instance, one of the items that they are asking for is the rezoning and a special exception. The Planning Commission heard this item, and there were present several members of the community. Many of them had questions. I wouldn't say they were all in opposition, but you had a good amount there with some questions and concerns. The applicant actually held a community meeting, which is something we encourage all people who are coming to do a rezoning to do. So they actually held an open house, and they met with some of the people in the community that had concerns. It was a lot of back and forth at the Planning Commission, but on both of these applications, the recommendation from the Planning Commission was for a denial. The denial was based on the fact that they didn't feel that more than 3 people or multifamily in this case should be permitted where everything else around it is single family. I can answer any questions.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 5th, Commissioner Murray Williams.
Yes, sir. I want to jump in here. Since that time, I've had conversations with the neighborhood, and the neighborhood is pretty much in favor of this boarding house. They have a talk with, if I get your name wrong, Ms. Garner, and she's shown them the house, and they're impressed and what have you. If I could, Mr. Mayor, can I get the neighborhood president to come up and tell us a little bit? I don't want us to be here a long time, but get the neighborhood to tell us what they think. And then I'll make a recommendation.
You got it. Yes, sir. Welcome, guys. If you will, for the record, please state your name and address.
Good afternoon. My name is Juanita Burney. I live at 2208 Cadden Road in Augusta.
Ms. Burney, you have the floor.
And I'm Lee Myers. Ms. Juanita is the former president of the association. I'm the new president. Lee Myers, 2302 Cadden Road.
Thank you so much. You guys have the floor.
I'm going to speak quickly from my notes so that I can turn it over to the incoming president, Mr. Myers, of the Rollins Area Neighborhood Association. I'm standing up to speak in favor of allowing Ms. Garnes to open the home. I live around the corner from it, and I was here when the Planning Commission heard, and I was on the fence. And I was on the fence simply because we didn't have enough information about what was going to happen. But since that time, we've had several meetings. I've had several meetings with Ms. Garnes, and I believe that she is sincere in what she's trying to do. It matters to me that she fully opened up about the fact that she is a former inmate herself. Therefore, she has been where these ladies are that are proposed for the home. She can have 3 residents no matter what the vote is today, and I am in support of allowing her to add 3 more. The personal care home, we do have personal care homes in our community, so it's not 100% accurate that we are 100% residential. We are residential, and we want to protect the character of being residential. But we do have a couple of personal care homes, and those average 5 to 6 clients in those homes. I think the vast majority of residents, I've had some calls, and of course I'm not speaking for everyone, and it's hard to get 100% consensus on anything, but I think the vast majority are willing to give her and this home a try and try to make it work. The article that you have that I passed out, and if you look at the highlighted area, as I was debating and praying about it, and I found it interesting that this is a recent article. This was just February the 16th from the Augusta Chronicle, and it speaks to the First Offender Act and what it is trying to do. And so when you look at what our legislature is trying to do, our courts, statewide and local, are trying to do for first offenders, then while we want to protect the integrity of our community, we also don't want to be bigots. If we can help an initiative, and if we can help first-time offenders, because they, as you say, there but by the grace of God go I. And most of us do believe that second offenders do deserve a chance to get their lives in order. So I live around the corner from it. After getting more information, I stand in support.
Thank you, Ms. Burney. Mr.
And I
Myers?
would just add to that, what we would ask the commissioners to approve the rezoning and the exception, and I believe planning and zoning, I don't know the exact wording, but they had if they were to recommend approval, they had some stipulations, and that's what our community is in support of. If the property were able to be ever to sell in the future or change from the express purpose that it is being approved for, that then it would go back to the 1A. And I believe that was in the what the planning and zoning had. So that's our only request from our community, is that you do approve, but you approve it with that caveat that if it were to change, and I believe that's in the zoning.
All right.
Okay.
All right, Commissioner Williams.
Yes. Ms. Planning and Zoning Director, do you have anything to add?
No, sir.
Okay, I've got one caveat, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Well, I want to go ahead and make a motion to approve this, and we vote, and then I want to talk about a caveat just after that.
All right. All right, we're going. We got a motion, Madam Clerk, and a second from Commissioner from the 9th. I heard her chime in first.
Yes.
2 and 3 and companion items. Before we vote, Commissioner Brandon Garrett has asked. So Commissioner 9th.
Random.
Yes.
Ms. Scott.
Yes. Okay. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 8th, Commissioner Brandon Garrett.
Thank you, Mayor. This question is for Attorney Brown. If these petitions are denied, how long are before they're allowed to come back before this commission
For a personal care home?
for any of these items?
Seen it, okay.
For 2, 3, 4, or, yeah, 2, 3, or 4? If they're denied, how, I know there's a time period before they're allowed to come back.
I would have to check for each one, but generally it's 6 months.
Okay, thanks, sir.
All right. See, all right. Don't see any other colleagues in the queue. Madam Clerk, we have a motion and proper second. Let's vote on this. Motion to approve these 2 companion items.
Are we approving to deny? Oh,
We're trying to
Approve.
Approve the petition, do you mean that, sir?
Yes, to approve and not deny, to approve
Not
the
deny,
petition.
to approve it.
To
Yeah.
approve the petition. So this is a vote to approve, not to deny it. Colleagues, make sure we're clear. The petition.
the petition.
All right.
Yes, sir.
You ready to vote? You have any questions, Commissioner from Third? I see you.
Sir, before our, we're having some, so I was doing a roll call.
Why don't you do a roll call then?
All right.
You're brilliant. Thank you.
All right, roll call.
All right, Mr. Franham,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Garrett,
Yes.
Mr. Guilfoyle. Okay, I can hear him. Mr. Johnson? Yes, ma'am. Mr. Lewis? Yes, ma'am. Mr. Mason? Out. Ms. McKnight? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Pulliam?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Scott? Yes, ma'am. That motion carries with Mr. Bobby Williams.
Yes, ma'am.
She did.
Yes, ma'am.
That motion carries with Mr. Mason out.
Commissioner Williams, you have the floor. You mentioned that you want to add to it then.
Is Dr. Malik here? Come up for just a second. The neighborhood had a question, and I don't know which one. Is it Ms. Bernie or the new president that I want you to get with? But they said the house is on a corner and it creates a traffic flow problem or something. You guys can tell Dr. Malik a little bit better. Dr. Malik, I don't want you to say anything. If you could, just get with him and see what the problem is. I don't know if you can help them or not, but make an effort, please. All right, so Mr. President, can you talk to Dr. Malik about looking at that situation on that corner? Yes, sir.
When they went to the exception that they had, the zoning issue would go back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Don't forget to talk to Dr. Malik.
All right, Madam Clerk, I think that finalizes that item. Let's move forward.
Sir.
Let's move on.
Okay.
Next item.
Item number 4. It's a request for concurrence to deny a petition requesting a zoning from an R1A1 family residential to a Zone B1 neighborhood business affecting property at 3333 Riceboro Road.
Director Delaney.
All right. So good afternoon. In regards to this particular application, from a location perspective, we're talking about the Walmart, close proximity to the Walmart on Wrightsboro Road. It's immediately adjacent to the Army Reserve Center. So from that perspective, that's what we're speaking about from a location. So on this particular application, we have a request from a Mrs. Huang, and they want to establish a wellness massage business at this particular location. There is a 1,075 square foot residence on the location. And our biggest concern, we had some concerns at the planning department that were also conveyed through the planning commission. It's not necessarily the rezoning that we have concerns about, it's the end use. The applicant is requesting to establish a massage parlor, because that's the terminology we use, a massage parlor, and have residents there too. So they want to live there and they want to offer massage services. Just in general, it's not a good practice to have that type of business or industry and have a live-in situation. So in this particular instance, the planning department recommended denial and the planning commission also recommended denial. But I can answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you. Commissioner from the 5th, you want to chime in before I...
Well, I want to hear from the petitioner because I wanted to hear, why do you want to live there? I don't know.
All right, ma'am, if you will, for the record, you have to state your name and address, please.
I'm Yuri Huang. I'm from China, and the reason
You need an address.
Yeah, I'm explain that.
Well, do it now.
Yeah.
Identify yourself.
The reason I apply that way.
Where do you live?
Where do you live?
Oh, I live in 394 Purbeck Lane, Martinez, Georgia.
All right, ma'am, you have the floor.
Okay, the reason I apply that way because right now I have a massage and facial studio in Richmond County already, and also I do real estate business. I saw this property is good for commercial, but I will not do business right away. So I'm thinking some days later I can do business or I rent it out. But I didn't mean do business and residential at the same time together. People live in there, do business. But I saw sometimes in this way, I can have more option to people live there, or I can do business. It is a small place, but maybe because of the language, I just moved here from China, 2016. So maybe because of the language can have more option, not means live there and do business together.
Okay. Sir, are you with her?
Yeah, this is my husband, Miles Lee Clyde.
All right.
My name's Lee Clyde. I also live at 394 Purbeck Lane in Martinez, Georgia.
Thank you, sir. Director Delaney, I got a question for you. Currently, is this already zoned residential, so someone can live there now? Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Commissioner from the 5th, you're still in the queue, sir.
I have a question. So it's going to be a massage place or a place where somebody lives there?
Yes.
So it won't be a massage and a place where somebody lives?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so is that what you guys understood, Ms. Delaney?
If you, on item 4, page 45 in your packet, the very last paragraph of the requester, the applicant's application says, I am asking the Department of Planning and Development of Richmond County to change the R1 district to a B1 district to allow me to use it to do human body work business and allow the practitioners to live in it at the same time. So her letter for the request actually said at the same time.
All right, sir.
We're amending that request.
So you're amending that request?
Yes, that's no longer the case.
Yeah.
It will be either one or the other, not both at the same time.
Well, all right. I got a few other colleagues. Commissioner from the 5th?
Yeah, so can we make that a stipulation?
We can just deny it.
That one or the other?
Director Delaney.
Yes. So I just spoke with council. I'm trying to process it. Just a quick second, put my words together. Based on how the application came through and our ability to potentially regulate something like this after the fact, I think that the intent of the letter should weigh more heavily than what they're saying right now. So we would recommend denial of the application. I would recommend denial of the application as a director.
So my question is, let's say if we deny it today, how long would it take before they could come back?
6 months.
If you deny the rezoning, it will come back. It would be eligible within 6 months. I will say this. The massage license has to come before this commission. Mm-hmm. So this is the first step in a process for them. So if there are concerns about it being a massage business, mm-hmm. then when the massage license comes before you, it could be taken up then. But adjacent properties are zone B2 and residential, so you have both there.
I got you. So, Administrator, Mayor, Administrator.
Yes, sir. You have the floor. He's still in. Commissioner from the 5th is in.
Hold on, I'll come out.
Mayor Johnson, I would recommend that we send this item back to committee to allow the department, as well as administration and legal, to review it further.
Yes.
All right.
Can we have input on the revision? When it goes back to the Planning Commission, can we have input?
Yes, sir. I mean, yes.
Yes,
All right,
you can
so-
update your application. The earliest available would possibly be April, but it wouldn't make the March deadline.
Okay, so that's going to be my motion, that we send this back to planning, Ms. Administrator?
Planning Commission.
Back to the Planning Commission.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second to that before I go through the queue? Got a second from the commissioner from the first. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the first, Commissioner Jordan Johnson. All right, Chair recognizes Commissioner from the seventh, Sean Fram.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think y'all got the motion of where I was going. My question is, from the planning department side, do we spot check these licenses and things on an annual basis to make sure that none of this is going on?
We do have a spot check procedure. Every business, doesn't get checked, but we do spot check, definitely, yes. I will say that I had to suspend a massage license last year. So this gives me some hesitation, and I just want to be transparent with that.
Yeah, and it gives me a little bit as well. That's why I was asking, and I just wonder if this opens up a Pandora's box across the county if we sit here and approve something. So I'm glad to hear it's going back to committee. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. All right, Madam Clerk, we have a motion and proper second to send this back to committee. Colleagues, let's vote.
Okay.
Roll call, I'm sorry.
To the Planning Commission.
To the Planning
Yes, it's being
Commission.
referred. Yes, our voting system is up, so.
Okay.
Point of privilege, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
It's unanimous.
Mr. Laney,
Yes, sir.
would you be kind enough to explain to the applicants what happens next, because they don't know the process of the plan and zoning?
Definitely.
Thank you.
All right. That's cool, man. All right, Madam Clerk, let's continue. Let's move forward. Number 9.
Item number 9, I believe.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Item number 9 is a motion to approve a 1-year suspension of the alcohol license for Club Climax doing business as Club Rain, 1855 Gordon Highway, for failure to comply with the Augusta-Richmond County alcohol ordinance.
Director Delaney.
All right. All right, good afternoon. This particular application or the request is being made for a 1-year suspension for the location located at 1855 Gordon Highway. In this particular instance, for explanation purposes, the alcohol license is an umbrella license that also covers dance. This particular location's alcohol license is in regards to dance. Our collaboration with the Sheriff's Department has led me to be at this point right here today. They have issued a letter, and it is in your packet, and this particular club owner has had several other instances at his other locations. So with that being said, we have the Sheriff Representative, Mr. Ortiz, is here, and he would like to present his findings on this to the commission because he didn't get an opportunity last week, and we wanted it to be in part of the record.
Thank you so much. Deputy Ortiz, could you come forward, please?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. You have the floor.
My name is Investigator Jose Ortiz with the Richmond County Sheriff's Office. The reason we're requesting for the alcohol license to be pulled or suspended for a year is due to the multiple shootings that we've had there now within a 2-month period. He came off of suspension or probationary period from his other club in November 3rd. Come December 16th, you have a shooting inside a second club of his. The last shooting that happened, the people were in line, ready to go in there. They were one of the subject who was shot and killed on this incident. He was going there to go get food from the club, and he was shot and killed right in front of his business. We just feel that due to the nature or not due to the nature, but due to the amount of violent crimes that his businesses has been attracting, for the safety of the public, we just don't see it as a business that should remain open or should, at least set an example in reference to other clubs or even to himself, instead of being reactive in reference to dealing with these dealing with these types of incidents, be more proactive. If he did something to better one club, for example, a metal detector, he might want to do that for another one. Because, again, November 3rd, you get off probation from level 9, December 13th or December 16th, there's a gun in another club. Why not do it to both? Obviously, he's not, for me, or for at least for us, we don't feel like he's taking the situation serious enough.
So has he been under any probation for the club that we're discussing today? Has he been cited?
For this club, no. We've had issues before, but those were resolved. Those are several years ago.
Okay. All right. So obviously we have the club owner here. Sir, if you will, for the record, please state your name and address.
My name is Von Celius Allen. I live at 2906 Arrowwood Circle, Helpswood, Georgia.
All right, sir. So obviously there's been a complaint brought against your club. Do you have anything you want to add? Or
I wish I would have known that I had a meeting. No one has called me, sent me any kind of letters, no correspondence. How I found out about this situation, a letter was placed on my business that I saw Friday. Luckily, I've learned from level 9, I've installed things because of the other situation, and he's talking about being proactive. I'm the only person being proactive in here. I've learned from the first situation. Cameras, cover my blind spots up at my building, putting a fence around the back, covering the side areas. I have 3 deputies every night I open up. 3. His people. And what he's saying is not true, but I learned from Friday that I missed a meeting for last Tuesday. I wish somebody would have let me know. Good thing I got cameras because I could see when they hand-delivered the letter, and it was after the meeting. So how am I held responsible, first of all, here? And with all seriousness, they wrote up the letters. He's saying that a shooting happened inside. Not true. Where's the evidence? Even the person who they saying got shot said it didn't happen there. They came to investigate. No bullets, no blood, no nothing. Nobody knew of anything.
Sir, wait a second. Officer, do you have a report of where someone was shot in this gentleman's club?
Yes, sir. December 16, 2023, case number 23-229852. On Saturday, December 16, 2023, at 0309 hours, I, Deputy Santiago, was working on special duty at 1855 Gordon Highway, Club Rain. When I was on the scene, I noticed everyone running outside of the club to their vehicles saying someone was shot inside.
Did that result in a murder?
This one did not. It was the January one that resulted in the murder.
Where's the arrest?
Wait a second. January of this year in 24 resulted in a murder?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you have that incident report? Can you read that for this body? Thank you.
This one was January 20th, 2024, 1855 Gordon Highway, Augusta, Georgia. The description of the statute is murder, where the victim was, I don't want to go into the victim's name there. On Saturday, January 20th, 2024, at 2021 hours, deputies responded to 1120 15th Street at Augusta University Medical Center in reference to a gunshot wound victim. Upon arrival, the victim was identified, sustained at least 1 gunshot wound, was pronounced deceased at 02:19 hours by Dr. Williams. It was determined that the initial incident occurred at 1855 Gordon Highway. There was crime scene went out there, and several shells were located in the parking lot right in front of the business.
All right, but was this inside the club?
It happened, they were in line to get into the club.
All right. Mr. Allen, you had the floor, sir.
That is not correct also. I don't know where you're getting this stuff from. First of all, I wasn't open at the time of the shooting. I was preparing to open. I open up at 2 a.m. I'm a sobering spot for when people leave the club.
Okay.
I know y'all may think it's crazy, but some people want to not go home after 2 o'clock. They want to stay and party for a little while longer. So I have a business model that stays open and sober people up, okay? Now, I was not quite open yet, and like I said, because my deputies have not showed up yet. Now, they had previously left some other clubs. It were people gathering in the parking lot. I'm on the inside. The gentleman behind the club, next to, I have a car wash next to me, close to the dumpster in the back where the shooting occurred, not in the front. Yes, I had people lined up, so when I heard the shooting, I actually came out, heard the bullets getting closer to the building. I opened the door and let everybody run in for safety. Wasn't open yet. I just told everybody, run in here for safety. Now, after the shooting was over, I came outside, nobody's in the parking lot, nobody's on the ground. I don't know what had happened. Only way I found out what happened was we got a call from later on that said somebody had died at the hospital on the way to the hospital from my deputies. My deputies didn't even know what happened at first. I just told them, I said, hey, it was a shooting that happened out here before we opened up, and that's all. But getting shooting in front of the club, that is absurd. That is the total lie, total fabrication.
All right, thank you, sir. We got some colleagues in the queue. I'm going to start with Commissioner from the 7th, Commissioner Sean Franham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My first question is for Sergeant Ortiz. Have you had any conversations with the special duty officers that work his club?
I have.
And they confirmed what you said?
Yes, sir. The first one arrived around 2:05. He said as he pulled in, there was people coming out, and they told him that there was a shooting there. Also that they were in line waiting to get inside the club at the time the shooting happened, and it happened in front of the club, not at the rear like he's claiming. And the photos that I have seen of the photos that I've seen from the incident location were in front of the club, not behind the club.
Okay, he says that his club opens at 2 a.m. He's not serving alcohol then at 2 a.m.
No, he's not serving alcohol.
Okay. As far as the process of notification that he spoke with me and spoken here today, like when was he notified that we would have this discussion about him last Tuesday?
On February 7th, Deputy Director Kepner sent a letter directly to the property owner. That letter, I have it.
Do we get all require signatures for dropping off something like that, or no?
Not in this particular instance, no.
Yeah, I think we need to.
And then what we did, the follow-up typically is we will put it on the door. If we don't hear back, we call. We do all those things too. So we call, we send someone by there, and we do the letter first. So the letter was first.
Okay.
And I believe he said that someone did put something on his door.
Yes, afterwards.
Friday.
But
right?
that was for.
After the meeting.
Yeah, that should have been for this meeting. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because we try to let them know both times.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 6th, Commissioner Tony Lewis.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think most of my questions have already been answered pertaining to the off-duty security that's at the establishment. And so he's cleared my question up because he don't open up until 2, so quite naturally security won't show up until he opens up at 2. But nevertheless, I would like to say that let's not look at what happens at another place of business and compare it to what's happening at this place of business. I know you have it in your letter from planning and zoning, or from the sheriff's department, what has occurred at level 9, him just coming off probation and things of that nature. So let's not mix those two together. Let's look at what happens at this particular location in which we're trying to make a decision as to whether to suspend a business person's license, not what happened in a previous location. So I just want to make that clear.
Thank you, Commissioner. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 1st, Commissioner Jordan Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Question for Sergeant Ortiz. Were there any arrests made on December 16th from the shooting that you said from what I understand, you said that you were told that someone heard shots and then they said that there was a shooting or something like that. Were there any arrests ever made from that situation?
No, the subject that was shot stated they don't know how or where the round came from.
And you said this happened directly in front of the club?
This incident, December 16th, happened inside the club.
Inside the club, but there were no arrests made?
No arrests made. There was no witnesses came forward saying that they saw the shooter.
Now, the one that we just finished speaking of, where someone was shot and killed, that was in front of the club, is what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
So I guess this question maybe you can answer it, maybe I have to direct this to Director Delaney, but how does these situations compare to the situations that Commissioner McKnight and I are taking up with Smart Grocery and the Pack and Go?
On those instances, I think you're talking about the one right outside Riceboro Road.
I'm talking right outside of Fox Den in Glendale.
Right. So that one's a little bit harder to pinpoint which location. For example, one of the murders happened behind the, Church's Chicken, that's right beside it. Some happened right in front of Fox Den, some happened right in front of the gas station. Some other incidents happened in the little strip mall that's right next to it. So it's not a, one area or one business having all the issues. It's kind of spread out in that area.
Well, we received a report last Tuesday from both of those locations, and those locations were cited for these violent acts, specifically to those locations. And what we saw was that over the course of a few years, that those citations grew. But those business owners were never cited. Their alcohol license were never brought before us to be suspended. None of that.
I'm not familiar with
I think I may have a copy of it. I can hand it to you. If I don't have a copy of it, I know my colleague does. Oh, I have a copy of it. So let's see here. Oh, he's gone. You take a look at this for me, and you tell me what you think about it. But my biggest concern here is that we're holding two businesses to totally different standards. And I said this last Tuesday, and I'm not by any means trying to take up for Mr. Allen for any other reason other than the fact that I know that when the other business owners came before the commission last week, the statement was, well, it's hard to put that responsibility on the businesses because they really can't control that. But we're saying that he can control the situation at his business. Can they control it or can they not control it? And, I get why we want to do this. I've been one to advocate for it. But what standard are we going off of? What's the basis here? If you have one business that's been cited for those murders and those situations, they came, I don't even see them in the audience, they left. I guess they feel comfortable that we're not going to do anything about it. What standard are we going off of? And if it's the opposite standard, then I think that we should just move on with the conversation. I've asked that the other owners have security mandated at their properties. I was told that they couldn't do that. So,
Well, as the sheriff's office, we can't say, hey, you have to have.
Commissioner, I'll address this for Investigator Ortiz.
Please, sir.
Danny Whitehead, captain with the Richmond County Sheriff's Office. And the only reason I'm stepping up, Mayor, is because I believe this is on the agenda, Smart Grocery. Investigator Ortiz is not familiar with the case going on there. And I think the difference may be this is a convenience store. Nightclubs is normally what Investigator Ortiz would actually be handling, not convenience stores.
Okay.
But maybe he can give an answer as far as the alcohol license, if that's something they can actually.
I'm just trying to see the difference here.
No, I understand.
They're both places where people congregate, where they spend money, where they buy alcohol. From what I understand, this location hasn't had any citations other than what we just spoke of. But we're talking about two locations that have growing citations each year. On the backside, you'll see growing citations where I think one year they decreased or something. So I'm just trying to understand I'm trying to understand what standard are we using before this body is roped into shutting down a business. Because if you take the license away for a year, I mean, that's his livelihood, that's his family's livelihood, just like we said the other folks, it's their livelihood and their family's livelihood. We need to make a decision based off of some type of equal standard is what I'm getting at.
Yes, sir, I understand. I didn't want Investigator Ortiz to answer something he didn't have any information on. Like we talked about, if you're going to address a nuisance property, which is 41-1-1, that's Georgia state law. That's probably one of the laws that we need to be looking at when we're approaching them. But like I said, when it comes to the nightclubs, the entertainment business permits and license for alcohol, that's completely different than selling beer and wine inside of a convenience store, as far as the approach that you would take to suspend them, put them on probation.
I understand. I just know, and this is my final comment, Mr. Mayor,
yes, sir.
that there was a business downtown that resulted in a shooting inside of the club, and I believe some type of altercation happened outside of the club, and they never came before the commission, not even once. So I'm just a little irritated. I was irritated last week. I left the meeting before it adjourned because the standard is just not what I would hope it would be. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Director Delaney, can you come up? I got a quick question because looking at this this motion here, it's to deny an alcohol license. Mr. Allen said he doesn't serve alcohol, that it's 2 a.m. Help me understand that.
Right. The alcohol license is an umbrella license for when you have dance, so a nightclub, your open after hours nightclub. It covers alcohol, and then you also have a specialty license for massage. So all three of those have to get special permission from the commission. At some point, this location had an alcohol license and it was surrendered because of activity. So the applicant, or not the applicant, but the property owner, in this case the business owner, surrendered that one. Right?
Yes. Yeah. Are people allowed to bring their own alcohol to this establishment?
No.
No alcohol. All right, I'm going to move on through the queue. Commissioner from the second, Commissioner Stacy Pulliam, madam, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a few questions. My first question is to Deputy Ortiz.
Yes, ma'am.
It was stated that 3 deputies are there.
Deputies.
You have 3 deputies?
Every night.
Okay. And you said only 1 gave a statement, or did all 3 of them state that they witnessed this?
For which incident?
For it's January 20th, right? Because on our paper it says
Yes,
January
I put
23rd.
23rd.
So that was a
That's the day I
typo.
submitted, not-
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
So on that one, I spoke to 2 deputies. One of them said that as he got there were people still inside coming out because the shooting happened right out front, and that they were standing in line to go inside the business. The second one said as he came up, the other deputy told him that a shooting had happened and there was actually shell casings out in the front parking lot, like in front of the business.
My next question is for the club owner.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
sorry, sir. Your name again. I apologize.
Voncellis, or you just, you call me V, I don't.
Okay. You're saying that it happened in the back
I was
of the club.
there.
Okay.
No deputy was there yet. I let everybody run inside. It was not in the front. People was running from the side in the back of the building where it was coming out. I'm like, y'all ran in front for safety. I was not even open yet. But here I am, I'm trying to protect people because obviously they had done left from a previous club in the earliest instance to be there early, okay? I'm waiting on security because I only have 3 deputies. I have 7 security guards as well because of the situation from my previous stuff. And you want to say you learn from your previous situations.
So let me ask something else. You stated that you had cameras around the property. That's how you saw the letter get delivered. Did your cameras catch any of the
No.
footage that went on?
No, but they supposed to have got footage from the store as well because it was in the back near the dumpster near the car wash. The front, they may have found some bullets and see, even the crime scene was not from the front. The crime scene was from the side of the building. If he show you pictures of the tape itself, it's from the side because one of my bartender cars got shot in the process, got a bullet in the car while she was there prepping to open up. Didn't happen in the front. The first incident didn't happen. I just feel like right now somebody is bothering me. I didn't get served with a letter. I'm on record saying that they did not send a letter to my house. I just received another letter from them that I forgot to pay excise taxes. That came to the house, but the first letter didn't.
All right, sir.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right.
Yes,
Chair,
we're good.
Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 8th, Commissioner Brandon Garrett.
Thank you, Mayor. Question for the club owner.
Yes, sir.
You said there was a bartender, her car got shot?
Yes, sir.
So I did not think that you had an alcohol license to serve.
Oh, I serve. I'm a sobering place. I have sodas, waters, Red Bulls, and food.
Okay, so not technically a bartender?
No, well, you just say that because she's behind the bar.
Okay. I was wanting to make that clear.
Hey, I got you. I
Because
understand.
everybody up here is like, wait a minute.
They don't go out often. It's okay.
My wife won't let me. Question for Mr. Ortiz. Do you have a report similar to what we saw for Smart Grocery for this address?
I do not. Not for this particular address. Yeah, Within the past several years, since he surrendered the alcohol license, there hasn't been anything like this happening. No,
I'm just talking about like the report that was up on the screen a minute ago that Commissioner Johnson showed you,
No,
showing the
I do
different
not.
calls. Okay. I just think that'd been helpful to be able to compare and just kind of track what was going on. And I have a question for Director Delaney. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Continue, Commissioner.
All right. Director Delaney, what is the process for monitoring or keeping checks or checking in on these establishments that are open at 2 a.m. in the morning?
We have a collaboration with the Sheriff's Department, a very active collaboration that's working well.
Okay.
So at 2 o'clock in the morning, if there's any activity, the Sheriff's Office actually has a team that goes out. And then if there's anything that they feel that we can do to assist, such as bringing the business license or the alcohol license before the commission, they come to us and ask us, hey, we're having problems with this particular entity. Could you put us on the agenda so that we can represent it? So as the department that issues the business license, alcohol licensing, we are the mechanism that they use to come back to you to say, we need assistance with this.
And that's how we got to where we are today.
And that's how we are here today.
So in reference to that collaboration, do you guys have any collaboration or a report that we could look at showing the different calls or instances that the deputies have seen? That you've been...
We would have what the Sheriff Department gave us, correct. We have the same information.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 10th, Commissioner Wayne Guilfoyle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Allen, as far as you being a club owner, you came before us last year. Do you have cameras around your building?
Yes.
And did you present the camera to Mr. Ortiz?
I've not talked to Mr. Ortiz. I've talked to him previous. He knows my number. Like I said, I have not had a call from the Sheriff Department, the License Department. No one has contacted me about any violations, no problems whatsoever. I found out Friday because I came to prepare to open up Friday and saw a letter on my door. This is how I'm finding out. And I started making calls to everybody.
I understand.
And then they told another fib saying that I surrendered my liquor license because of issues. No, I surrendered my liquor license because I went to the after hours format. You can't serve liquor, therefore I don't need an alcohol license. That's why I surrendered the alcohol license. It's just a lot of stuff going on here, and I just feel like it's an attack on me right now.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you the challenges that we face behind this dais. I know there was a lot of discussion. That's the reason why I waited till the end. We asked the people who set policy, we could have the authority to put you on probation. I'm just discussion. I don't need officials. Probation, we could close it down. We could leave it open. But if there's a death that comes before us next week, next month, within this year, we're going to be right back up here. But the other side of the coin is, on the same agenda, we have the supermarket that my colleague put up from all the incidents that's happened. We got the Motel 8 that Commissioner Franham had brought up. Well, we having issues. We try to rely on our code enforcement, and, well, they shut down at 5 o'clock, so we're trying to find a way to get support from our law enforcement and respect that they're willing to go out and do this after hours, take time away from their family, put themselves at risk. So we're in a precarious position up here.
I understand.
You're in a precarious position because it affects your livelihood.
Yes.
How do we prevent deaths, incidents, shooting incidents from happening in your establishment, or outside of your establishment, which is still remains your property, or that you lease or you own? It doesn't bother me. But what I'm saying is, these next two agenda items, that's going to be coming up for us. I'm going to see how it plays out as well. Are we going to disregard what our Sheriff's Department and as well as our code enforcement saying? Or are we going to treat all three the same? Because basically they all three the same. We have issues where people are dying, people committing crime, but it's at certain establishments. But I like the idea that 2 o'clock in the morning, you able to have people come sober up instead of driving on the roads drunk. That's smart. That's a thinking outside the box. But you don't have any alcohol there.
No. And I want to go on record. I'm not trying to. I have a good. Well, we've talked plenty of times before, and I'm not no way trying to bash Mr. Ortiz here because we have had some discussions in the past, and he has been very helpful. I'm just saying in this particular situation, I have no knowledge of none of this, none whatsoever. And now to come up before a committee whereas they're talking about approval for denial for my license for a year, I'm just a little deterred.
I understand. I think I would be shocked as well if I found the information Friday as well. But I'm going to let my colleagues decide which direction they want to go, but I wish you well, but that's a great idea.
Thank you, Commissioner. Chair recognizes the Commissioner from the 9th, Commissioner Francine Scott.
You answered one question. I think we're clear on you surrendering, or for some reason you just put your license on pause. Now, in your sobering establishment, you don't serve any alcohol.
No.
You purchase. People could come in and buy food.
Yes.
And they could. Now, do we have license to do any of this, or do we just? This is just something that you're just doing.
No, I have a catering person come in. Sometimes I have a food truck come in. It's different ways of serving food, whoever you have.
Thank you, Commissioner Scott. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 5th, Commissioner Bobby Williams.
Yeah, we've been going back and forth, and we need to come up with something. And I've been listening to some of the commissioners. I saw Brandon Garrett put up 6 fingers or what have you. And we've been going between suspension and probation and what have you. And we need to move on.
Yes, sir.
So my motion is going to be 6 months of probation.
All right. The Commissioner from the 5th is offering 6 months of probation. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Brandon Garrett. I see you in the queue, madam. I see you. No, I don't see you in the queue. I see Commissioner from the 1st in the queue. You need to chime in, sir?
Yes, I do.
All right, come on, Commissioner. You have the floor.
So the question about the suspension for 6 months, if we suspend
probation,
put Mr. Allen's alcohol license on probation for 6 months because of rain, how does that impact his other business?
Each location has its separate one.
Okay, all right, just making sure.
All
So
right.
this will in no way impact his ability to do business at any other establishment that he owns?
No.
All right.
And then let me also ask a follow-up. Hold on, Mr. Mayor, stop trying. Hold on, I still got questions.
I know. Okay, I'm coming with you.
But he needs to hurry up.
Well, I can take my time because that's what I can do. So, Ms. Delaney, just for clarity, if they're not selling alcohol at this location, what would probation of the license mean?
Probation just would essentially, in this case, mean additional monitoring.
And if something happens again?
Yep, we would be in close communication with the sheriff's office. We would have unscheduled pop-up visits during open hours. That's how we would monitor it.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
You got it, Commissioner. All right, Commissioner Williams, you got a motion. You need to add something?
Yeah, and I just want to say if this comes back, there has to be one particular entity that's involved, and that's your particular businesses. You know, where people are getting shot or stabbed or whatever, or robbed or what have you. So I don't want to hear, if you come back, we just need to suspend and keep going.
All right.
Thank you.
Noted. Commissioner from the 2nd, Commissioner Pulliam.
Thank you. My question is for Deputy Ortiz, and I don't know if beat a dead horse is a good thing to say right now, but were there any eyewitnesses, like I actually saw this take place?
The shooting that happened in December, deputies were there.
No, the one in January where someone died. Was there an eyewitness that saw it take place in front of the club?
I believe so. I believe there's several witnesses that came forward.
Right. So is yes or no for me? Because this is someone's livelihood, and so if you have the report.
Then I'd have to say, if they were in line to get in, the door's right in front. So yes, it can't happen in the back and somebody see it. You have an eyewitness that were in the front.
Okay, and so
yes.
those eyewitnesses actually came forth and said, we witnessed.
Deputies that I spoke to said that they spoke to witnesses who stated they were in line waiting to get food when said incident happened.
Okay, and you did get all of the camera footage because the club owner also.
Okay, so that's involving a homicide. That's violent crimes. So that's a question that would have to go to them. I wasn't involved in collecting evidence for that incident.
Okay, so the person that presents us information isn't the person that collects the information for us to make a well-informed decision.
Correct. I'm going by the what I've been told by the investigators who actually went out there and worked the case.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I've just been made aware by our legal counsel that the gentleman that's been discussed, Mr. Allen, was not notified in a proper manner, and so we may have to take this up at another commission meeting. So colleagues, I don't think we could take any action today. So with that being said, perhaps we could
substitute motion, Mayor.
All right, Commissioner from the
I'd like to make a substitute motion that we send this to the next full commission meeting.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. I think I heard it from Commissioner Scott first. All right, let's vote on this. We've been harping on it a while. Madam Clerk, we're voting. Yes, substitute motion to send this back to the next commission meeting.
Now, can I object to anything?
It may not be in your best interest to object, but you're more welcome to say something. Yes, sir.
What I'm saying is, we considering probation under what grounds? First of all, I mean, I know you.
Listen, this is not probation.
Okay.
This is just going back for 2 weeks to give us proper opportunity to go through it. So there's nothing against your business right now. All right. So no probation. Just we're gonna take 2 weeks. All right. So we continue to vote, Madam Clerk. Well, yeah, but you'll get the clerk. You'll be here for the next full commission meeting. So there's no action being taken today.
Okay.
All right. Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Mason's not here. 6, Commissioner Lewis. All right, Madam Clerk, let's publish the vote.
Carries 8-1.
All right, Madam Clerk, when is the next full commission?
With Mr. Lewis voting no.
Madam Clerk, when is the next full commission
that would
meeting?
be March 3rd. Is that March 3rd?
March 3rd.
Yes, sir. At 2 o'clock, sir.
2 o'clock.
March 3rd at 2 o'clock.
March?
Mm-hmm. Sunday. The 5th? Oh, okay. Okay. March 5th.
March 5th is 2 o'clock, sir.
March the 5th?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
No action's been taken against you today. All right. Deputy Ortiz, Mr. Allen, thank y'all for being here, okay? Appreciate it. All right. All right, Madam Clerk. What does that take us? 21?
that takes us, which is it 20?
21, right? 21. Bless you.
Item 21 is to receive a recommendation from the Central Services Department regarding a different design concept for the Edward M. McIntyre signs at Riverwalk.
All right. Director Lampkin, you have the floor, sir.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commission. I believe in the committee meeting, we presented some examples of what could possibly be done at the Riverwalk in the renaming. You guys asked to be able to take a look at that and come back with some recommendations today. Central Services is willing to take any action that you guys see fit of the renderings that was proposed. Also, I believe Commissioner Johnson asked for us to bring back the originals that we came up with, which I have here, with just the name change without any symbols or emblems.
All right.
I'll jump in here, or whoever first.
All right.
Go ahead, Bobby.
Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 5th.
Thank you, sir. So, okay, he put that up there.
Yeah. So what you're looking at now is the original that we came up with, right?
I mean, you don't have a new drawing or anything?
The new drawings were handed out last week for you to.
I wasn't here, so.
Right.
Do you have one?
It's in the back. It should be in your book, but I have.
You got one?
I have some right here.
So show it to me. Just hold it up.
It's several of. It's about 5 of them.
Okay.
You want to take a look at it since you?
Okay, you put it on there?
You said it. They said it's in the back of the book.
There's your first one on the screen now. We added the Augusta, Georgia logo to it.
So you're putting a new one up.
All right, so this is a different one. We just the different ideas we came up with. So
I mean,
that's another one with the logo with the government house.
You don't have, well, not so much, but it's not real attractive.
And there's the other one with the Augusta, Georgia lettering to the right of the name.
I mean, well, my question is, I mean, do you have something with like a border around it or something?
And then the one you're looking at now is with the mayor's logo. No, we don't. Of course, that's just the right now the concrete canvas that we have up there. The colors can change. It just depends on what we want to do. If you started putting borders up, then that kind of shrinks the name because you don't have much to work with on the
Can you go back
platform.
though? Can you go backwards on there?
Which one are you looking at?
I don't know.
See, by just doing name only, that allows you to make the letters bigger and it kind of stands out. Once you started the more you put up there, the smaller the letters have to be. So that's why the original was.
Well, well, I'm like this. Whatever the rest of them want to vote for, that's what I'm voting for.
Thank you, Commissioner from the 5th. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 1st, Commissioner Jordan Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a question. I'm going to make a motion. Can someone remind me, in our original motion, did we say something about commemorative plaques or something like that about this? Did we mention those plans for the commemorative plaques?
Yes, we always do a plaque, so we will have a plaque that goes along with this as well.
What location will it be, right on that?
My idea is be right in front of as the entryway, and then we're looking at doing one down near the playground area as people walk into the playground.
That satisfies my question. Okay, so I'm going to make a motion that we accept the original design without the logos.
Which is the original?
Without the logos.
Right here?
Yes.
And so the plaque at the playground will be a standing plaque that has all the information on there as well, and then one at the entrance to the bulkhead.
Yeah, I know we're a little limited to what we can do at this actual location. So
Right.
Mr. Mayor.
That's my.
The commissioner from the first still has the floor, sir.
Well,
Just
I
a
was just
second.
going to say, I'm not sure, but I'll second.
The commissioner from the first still has the floor.
He seconded the motion.
Okay, you got it. Okay.
Second.
All right. Commissioner from the first.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Okay,
Commissioner
so
from-
with these letters, so let's just be clear before we make this final vote. On the concrete, these letters will be black, right?
Correct.
Okay, and you can enlarge them and make them as bold as you want them to be.
Right.
Okay, well, that's my motion.
All right, have a motion and a second from the commissioner from the fifth. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the seventh, Commissioner Sean Franklin.
Can I see that picture one more time? I just have a question. I mean, it's not like I build houses or cosmetic for a living, but shouldn't the letters be green to match the fence?
I mean, we could do that. They don't have to be black. That's up to you guys if you want to change
What
it
do
to
y'all
green.
think? I don't know, I don't know.
So more like the dark green, that works.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Thanks.
All right, Madam Clerk, we have a motion and proper second for the original design from the commissioner from the first, seconded by commissioner from the fifth. We're voting. With green letters? Do we agree to that?
Green letters, right.
All right, Madam Administrator.
Mayor Johnson, I just wanted to add for the commission to be aware, as well as the public, that the family has seen this rendition and they do approve of this design.
All right. All right. Green letters. We're voting, Madam Clerk.
It's unanimous.
All right. Let's move on. 23.
Item 23 is to request Augusta Commercial Properties Insurance coverage for 2024 offered through the affiliate FM Current Courier for the premium of $938,639 for full blanket coverage and limited flood coverage in flood-prone areas.
All right. Commissioner from the 10th, I think you asked this.
Mr. Mayor, I got my answer. Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. No colleagues in the queue. Madam Clerk, we're voting.
It's unanimous.
All right, let's get 27 out of the way.
Item 27 is an update from the interim administrator regarding the URA revenue bond.
Madam Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. Commissioners, Mayor Johnson, you may recall on Tuesday, November 21st, the Augusta Commission approved the option number 2 by using the Urban Redevelopment Agency to issue revenue bonds backed by an IGA with Augusta for one jail pod in the amount of $37.5 million. I have met with both the procurement department as well as the sheriff on several occasions in which I wanted you to be aware that we are not at the point of going out for bonding. It would not be fiscally sound for us to obtain those funds at this time because a design has not been fully fleshed out. The sheriff is working with, as I stated, the procurement department as well as other municipalities in the area that are also procuring design services as well as looking at options to build not only a jail, but also a jail pod. While we do expect to move this item along expeditiously, we are working under pretty specific scopes, but I wanted you to be aware that while you approved $37.5 million back in November, in January of 2023, we received an estimate that the cost of construction would be $38 million. So as you could see, the amount that was approved in November is less than the amount that was already proposed in January of 2023. I needed you to be aware of that because by the time this item comes to your attention later in the year, it will be more than $38 million. Also, during the procurement phase of RCCI, which is planned and splossed, has an allocation of $11 million. We have received project estimates that exceed $22 million. So when we bring back to you the suggested pricing for revenue bonds for the jail pod, I will also make a recommendation to include the additional funding needed for RCCI. That concludes my update concerning our revenue bonds, for you to know that we are not at the point for bonding.
Thank you so much, Interim Administrator. My question before I open it up to the queue is, will the additional funding need for RCCI need to be included in this bonding amount to the URA? Would that be your recommendation?
Yes, that would be my recommendation.
Okay.
So when we go for bonding, we could do so at one time.
Gotcha. All right. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 1st, Commissioner Jordan Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This question is for Ms. Dowse. Question more so in a statement. I know that we have to, we're pretty much, we have to do this. But my question is, have we seen any data that backs up some of the claims that we've heard about inmates and how long they've been in jail and those types of things?
No, sir, I have not analyzed that data. That
Okay.
would be information that would need to be requested of the sheriff's office.
Okay, I want to add that we need to make it an effort to get the data either from the sheriff's office or some type of outside entity that can do a full study of the jail population, sentences, capacity, all of those things, because that's going to go into the design. If we're preparing for something other than that, then we have to make sure that we have data to back that up. And then I've also have heard some concerning discrepancies from what we've been told versus what's happening in the actual court system. And again, I don't want to start pointing fingers or doing those kind of things, but I think having some type of independent study of how that jail is actually being occupied, who's in there, how long they've been there, how can they get out, let's go ahead and start getting those numbers so that when we do go to the market, that we have an actual estimate of who we're preparing to build a jail for. I don't know, but that's what I'm asking to be added to all of this.
Thank you, Commissioner from the 1st. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 6th, Commissioner Tony Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Dowse, on these projections, I heard you say that in January of last year, we looked at a cost of $37 million, and that number now was $38 million. And we've looked at RCCI, and we're talking about $11 million, and that estimated cost is $22 million. Are we going to factor in, during the process of securing these bonds, are we going to factor in the escalation of costs? Because if we don't start some of these projects, the numbers that we're seeing and hearing now, they're not going to be the real numbers when said projects really go into motion. So we're going to be approving 11 million, 22 million, 38 million, and by the time things begin, Administrator Dowse, you're a numbers lady. You've been in this area all of your life. I just feel like there's going to be an increase. There's got to be an increase because the price of doing business is not going down. The cost of building materials are not going down. So unless we get a grip on this now and make things happen and begin the process of making things happen and get stuff locked in, we're going to be back before this commission with increased costs, projections. These things are going to happen. I know building. These things are going to happen. So I feel like you're doing a great job. The sooner we can get these things done, the better. We get them locked in. We get architecture renderings. All of these things are important for us moving forward with both of these projects. But I appreciate your work and your diligence in making sure that we're in the right position to be able to do what it is that we need to do as a city to move these projects forward. So I implore you to make sure that we're looking at these estimated costs. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Lewis. Commissioner Johnson, you back in, sir?
Yes, sir. I just want to make my statement into a motion. I want to make a motion that we have a jail population review, whether that be in-house or external, to allow us to get a deeper understanding of the Richmond County jail population.
What would it be? All right, so it's a motion and a second. What be? We really got to engage the sheriff on this. I don't know if we can do that as a body. I think that probably
we can do that as a body. He would be involved.
General Counsel, you need to chime in, sir.
I would ask the commission to either to postpone this motion, or if you're going to make a motion today, maybe to task the administrator to consult with the sheriff regarding conducting a jail population review, for the administrator to be able to go in discussion with the sheriff.
And in consulting, and he says, no, we're not doing it, what's the next step?
Attorney Brown.
Pardon?
Repeat your question, sir.
If in the review, if in the consultation, he says, no, we're not doing it, then what's our next movement?
I think we will proceed positively with the request at this time.
Yeah, from what I understand of our Georgia Constitution, the sheriff is a constitutional officer. It is this body that provides funding to the jail, so I can't imagine he wouldn't want to work in support of the commission. But I think we do owe him the opportunity to perhaps engage first.
Well, my understanding was not that he wouldn't. I mean, it's his jail. He would have to be. But if we want to take a different route, then let's take a different route. But just know that I'm not going to let up off of having a population review.
Certainly.
So I would like an update within the next at least 30 days.
So can we task the administrator? Would you
Yes,
agree
sir.
to task the administrator with
Yes,
reaching out
sir.
to the sheriff to
Yes, sir.
start this process?
Absolutely.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
Is that in the form of a motion?
Yes, sir.
All right. Is there a second to that? Second. All right. There's a second from the commissioner from the 9th. Madam Clerk, we're voting.
It's unanimous. Item number 28, discuss security licensing and even possible closing of the Smart Grocery on Riceboro Road and Olive Road convenience store in the Glendale community.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right. Let's get these folks back up. As to who's Commissioner McKnight, I know this is your. We're going to turn it over to Commissioner McKnight. You have the floor, madam.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. I've got the owners of Smart Grocery Store here, so I wanted to listen to what they had to say. I have been in communication with them, and I'd like for them to be able to come up and speak before I make any recommendations or we make any recommendations. So go ahead, please, and state your name and address.
My name is Say Pack. Address is 731 Marsh Point Road. I'm the property owner for 3217 and 3221 Riceboro Road. Rocky is one of my tenants who owns Smart Grocery. I have a business at 3217 Riceboro Road, so I'm there pretty much every day except for Sundays. And I think last time I addressed the issues and just kind of wanted to clarify some things. We have special duties now, but just wanted to say, like, after the unfortunate event that happened in December, we still had 2 more shootings after that. Now, that didn't happen on our property, but it was in the nearby vicinity. You probably will see where it's coming from. And the special duty officer we had, he was there till 9, and it happened at 11 o'clock p.m. in the nearby apartments. So we're trying to find a solution. We have cameras all over the property. My business alone has 22 cameras. 2 of them points outside to the parking lots. Rocky has his own cameras. All the tenants do. I'm in constant contact with all the tenants of the problems that we continue having that's spreading to our premises. But there are more problems happening around the property, not just our property, I'm just surrounding property. So please, I would challenge any of the commissioners to come down to where we're at. Spend the day with us. You'll see exactly what we see, and then tell us how we can fix it. And I know we had this instance where we had 2,000 calls, but I got a question. How many of those calls came from us? From the property owners, from the business owners, from the people who works there? Can we see that? Can we see how many of those calls came from us?
We're not going to
Well, I'm sorry.
ask the deputy to provide that, but obviously if someone's calling 911 regarding that location, they respond to that location. All right, so I'll let the store owner come up and introduce yourself, name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Gurpreet Walia.
My address is 205 Woodhill Drive. Actually, I rent this place for Mr. Pack in 2009. And this location is the best location in Augusta in 2009. And we have, our store was in top 30 store in the lottery selling. We have a lot of retired people live there, older people, they come to play the lottery. And the crime is not stopping, and slowly, everybody moved there. Nobody, as now, the landing apartment is more than 70% is empty because 20%, 30% is like more, maybe criminals live there, maybe something is, and we lost 60-70% business because nobody want to live around that areas.
All right. All right, sir, you need to, you involved in this matter, are you with him?
Yeah, he's Olive Road.
Olive Road Store.
Okay, so it's Olive Road. All right, so just for the record, because I know there's going to be questions, name and address.
Yes, sir. My name is Salman Aman, and I stay in 203 Ellis Street, Augusta, Georgia.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, Commissioner McKnight, obviously we have an officer here. You want to?
Yes, sir. I'm going to go ahead and let Officer Whitehead speak on. Do you have the question that Mr. Pack was asking? Do you have the answers to it, the numbers?
I mean, I have the numbers. Obviously, that's the data I actually, y'all got the last time we were here, the calls for service. The issue is calls for service coming to 911 center. We don't know who's calling, but to his credit, yes, they have had multiple calls for that came from call for service into the 911 center for either people trespassing or unwanted, but also there's been over 182 disturbance noise calls. So I don't know, like I said, those calls will be coming from the parking lot, someone calling 911 center, or inside the store.
All right. I wanted to ask owner of Smart Grocery about the security that you have placed recently moving forth.
Yes, so we have the security in Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And before our store was 24 hours, now we are starting closing in 12 o'clock, and we open 5 o'clock. And even we need more security. We have to protect our business to bring crime down. If we have to decrease the hour, maybe we can start closing 11 o'clock, and because for safety, and that's all we can do. Yes, if we need any recommendation for, and we can do that also. Yeah.
So you're saying, let me ask you this, at night going forward until the apartments and landings, I believe we've spoken, are cleaned up, you're willing to close at night?
This year we are closing 12 o'clock and open 5 o'clock. We will decide next year what to do. Yeah.
So,
okay.
All right, so
I'm gonna come back. I might have a few colleagues that want to speak, but I will come back to this because I'm gonna maybe try to make a motion here in a minute.
All right, you got it. So my question is, if you close at midnight, why do you release the officers at 9? Because a lot of the problems seem to occur later in the
Actually,
evening.
we have 6 to 10. Officer is changing the hour. It's 5 to 9. Sometimes it's 6 to 10. He want to change different time. What is going on? And maybe in the next month is summer. Maybe we can start 6 to 11. Yes.
So why not until closing? So that kind of gives you protection as your store is being operated to make sure that not only are you safe, that the patrons and everybody that come to your store, your customers are safe. Is that a possibility to have an officer there until closing?
Well, yeah, we can do that. Yes, 3 days. Yes.
All right. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 7th, Commissioner Sean Franham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just for clarity, you used to have a 24-hour operation, and now you've gone from 5 a.m. to 12 a.m. Is that correct and accurate?
Yeah, we can do as in the
I'm right
summertime is 6 to 12. Yes.
Okay. You started as special duty officer how long ago? 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Yes, you can ask.
It was, 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But we put the request in about 2 months ago.
What percentage of sales at the smart grocery or alcohol sales?
It's 20-25%.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about
Because
at
we did not
the,
have any crime in this property last 10 years. Anyone is drinking beer and is doing some crime. This crime is happening backside and from other state, other cities. We don't have any one accident is drinking beer and doing some shooting or like that, yes.
sir, when almost 2,000 calls are coming to an establishment and the law enforcement are redirecting resources, there's obviously something going on at an establishment, and that's why, for me, I mean, and then the fact that the security just started when it became an issue to us, that's disappointing. What percentage of sales are at the Olive Road location for alcohol sales?
For alcohol sale is 20%.
20%. Okay. I'm going to ask for clarity from Ms. Carla. Where is she? From
Mr. Laney, can you
Ms.
come up,
Laney.
Director?
Yes, sir.
Do we, as a governing body, have the ability to suspend just the alcohol sales at both these establishments for 6 months?
Yes, sir.
What was the recommendation of law enforcement / your department on this issue?
We were on the floor and we didn't talk about a timeline for a recommendation. I think the sheriff's office does have a recommendation for a timeline.
Okay.
On this matter, we do not have a timeline. We don't have a recommendation. We were actually recommended or actually asked to come before this board to bring this data, to provide that.
Do you think based on the alcohol portion of their facilities, would that help in any way? I mean, do you think that, like, is that a start, or kind of, can you give me kind of your feedback a little bit?
You know, not being a nightclub, I can't for 100% say that, because some of the shootings we've had have been during the daytime, not alcohol related.
Okay.
Obviously, this body would have the authority to do something with the alcohol license, but you still have the fuel and the other stuff that's going on inside within the business.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Chair recognizes Commissioner McKnight. You are back in the queue, madam. Oh, she's left. All right. Commissioner Guilfoyle from the 10.
Can I ask just gentlemen a question? McKnight?
He said he'd do 12 to 5.
Okay. All right, sir. You got a question for you,
Yes.
Mr. Pack?
Can I ask
Yes,
you a
sir.
question, please?
I got it.
Yes, Commissioner.
You said you hired security 2 weeks ago.
Yes, sir.
Tell me what's been going on since in this past 2 weeks. Have you seen a reduction in people hanging around?
Only when the officer is present. Officer Gunn, he's an investigator Gunn.
Right.
He's the officer in charge, and he's seen things, and he see eye to eye with me. He see where the problems are coming from. So I think it would be a good question to ask him as well, since he's the special duty we have at this time. But we had special duty not just 2 weeks ago. We had it throughout the years. And I named all the officers, the deputies that were helping us throughout those times. And this is something we had throughout the years. But the problem within the last 4 years has been just rising. The violence has just been rising tremendously. Before those 4 years ago, like before 2000, if you look back on our property, you won't see the same violent crime that had happened. But after 2000, it's just been increasing substantially. So we're trying to get all the help we can right now.
You know, as far as the maker of this motion, I would actually let this table for 6 months. Let's see what's happening with the security. I mean, they doing everything they can. They got over 40 cameras. They hired the security. It's up to y'all.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner McKnight, you have the floor, madam.
Yeah, I was going to make a motion that we close Smart Grocery at night until we get some of these apartments squared away, cleaned up or something, because this is where the last shooting was a few nights ago, was behind there, behind Smart Grocery. Excuse me?
No, that's right.
They're behind
Well,
Smart.
she's talking about physically. The commissioner from I'm sorry, commissioner from the 8th is saying the departments aren't the issue that's before us now. It's the Smart Grocery.
Okay, well, I was going to say, since we do have, now that we've got security over there, my motion was going to be for now to close at midnight and open back up at like 6 or 7 a.m. in the morning.
I think they close at midnight already, correct?
Yes. Smart Grocery?
Yes. Yes, they close at midnight, okay.
All right, well, I was going to say, whatever we can do to solve the problem, that's what we're trying to do. Yeah. But I want to make sure that we have security there every night.
Closing.
That's what I'd like to see. If we can't close it at midnight through 6, 7 a.m., then security needs to be there on property at that whole entire shopping center.
Have you guys committed to having security there until closing, say like from 6 or 7 p.m. to midnight to closing?
Yeah, from 6 p.m. to closing, I'm pretty sure, yes, we can work that out. It's just the financial burden when we ask all these other security companies of having security throughout the day was just unbearable. They're asking like $80,000 to $100,000 in a year. We're a small business. We can't afford that. I mean, we might just pull back out and not be in business if that's the case.
Certainly. All right. All right. All right. Got a couple other colleagues in the queue. Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A lot of what we're hearing, we just heard a few items ago. I know the last time we had a situation like this, we put the nightclub on probation. But because this agenda item does not give notice of probation, suspension, anything of that nature, we can't move on it today anyway. And so, and we can't mandate that they have security. We can't mandate any of those things. We can't suspend. We can't do anything because it's not here. It says discuss, but it's not saying motion to or motion to recommend. So, I mean, really, I'm just going to make a motion to have the planning department move forward with a 6-month probation. And if, in fact, what they're doing at both of these locations are working, then the probation would not impact them. But I know in past situations where these types of things happen and folks didn't have security, they didn't have these things in place, they were put on probation and they still had to get those types of solutions put in place throughout that cycle. And as I said in the last item, whatever standard we use for one, we have to use for all of them. And I sympathize with the business owners here. I sympathize with all the business owners. But, you know, if these items would have never came before the commission, there wouldn't be security. There wouldn't be cameras. None of this stuff would even be a conversation. So I'm going to suggest a 6-month probation, have planning department prepare that. And they'll have an opportunity to come back before us after that's been prepared. They'll have an opportunity to come back and state their claim, even show any kind of progress that's been made. But just to say, well, we'll agree to do it, it just doesn't fly with me. They're only agreeing to do it because
we brought it forward.
Basically the windows are open in their house. We can see through the blinds. And I'm not trying to come down on you all. I'm not trying to come down on anybody. The point that I want to make is we have a standard that we have to follow, and I think that's a pretty fair middle ground.
Thank you, Commissioner. So there's a motion for a 6-month probation. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
All right, there's a second. Our legal counsel has some input.
Maybe I'm mistaken, but I do not believe Commissioner Johnson is making a motion to put them on 6 months probation now. He is making a motion that the planning department initiate an agenda item that probation or other disciplinary action will be considered. That will give them the adequate notice as provided by law. This agenda item just says that the commission is going to discuss some matters regarding them. That's not notice that they could have a license problems at the end of this meeting. So he is saying that the planning department create the agenda item and send the notice that's required by law to them so they can come prepared if they want counsel. You are sitting as an evidentiary body in this matter and the past matter, or as a quasi-judicial body. So you are having a hearing, and both sides should have an opportunity to have notice, to bring in the witnesses they want, and to cross-examine people as well.
Yeah.
That's the intention of what my motion is.
That's the intention of your
Yes,
motion?
sir.
You
And
agree with that,
it's a fair one
Commissioner?
because it gives the petitioners an opportunity to continue the work that they're saying that they're doing.
Thank you. Commissioner from the 3rd, do you second that motion?
I went ahead, and yes, I did second.
You second, all right. All right, I got to go through the queue here. Commissioner Guilfoyle from the 10th.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I thought I was done on that last conversation. This is for the Sheriff's Department representative. What can businesses do to keep crime from happening outside of their building or their office business?
That's $1 million question right there. I definitely don't have the answer for that. I don't think anybody in the room has the answer for that. Violent crimes are, crimes of passion. That's not something we can predict where they're going to happen, when they're going to happen. I think what my recommendation to this board would be to look and see what the avenue is when we're dealing with these issues. Historically, we went through the district attorney's office, who would then go before a Superior Court judge. When you have properties like this that are a nuisance for violent crimes, I don't know, other than that, I don't know what type of sanctions you can put when it comes to convenience stores. Yes, you can on entertainment license and nightclubs, but I think these businesses, and along with motels that Commissioner Franklin was speaking of, that's I think the next step would be that. We have initiated conversation with the district attorney's office as far as the smart grocery goes. We're waiting back to see what the next step will be.
Is the smart grocery the fault, or is they at fault for being in that location?
Well, I mean, every business owner or property owner is responsible for their property. 3200 block of Wrightsboro Road, there is multiple apartment complexes up and down both sides of the roadway. Also at that business is the Little Caesar, I believe is the same owner on that property. Is that what you're asking, who's responsible?
I'm saying how is it the responsibility of a business owner in a certain location when the crime hangs around that establishment on the outside? You said 880 calls was done from nuisance from other people, I guess from loud music, etc. I don't remember a grocery store having loud music inside.
No,
it's
I'm sure
on the outside.
Yeah, so that's probably, majority of those are probably from car stereos, I would imagine.
Right. So if you look at how is a business owner establishment supposed to control that?
As far as the loud music?
We got a noise ordinance from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. People could play up to 20 decibels, I believe, and there's nothing that the sheriff's department could do. My thing is just, I believe in property owner, business owners' rights. I don't believe that the government should step in and they doing everything they can, but we shouldn't be punishing the business owner when they trying. That's my thought. Yes, sir, I did.
All right, Commissioner, just hold tight. Just hold tight. All right. Commissioner, you, from the 10th, you yield. Commissioner from the 7th, you have the floor, sir.
I'm gonna let it go.
Let it go. Commissioner McKnight.
I've got a quick question about, I just out of curiosity want to know what the percentage of gas, what do you sell? I'm just curious. I want to know. I know there's the gas tanks there. I'm just curious as what the percentage is with gas as opposed to everything else in the smart grocery. I mean, I'm just wondering. Can you?
Around 25,000 gallon gas.
25,000, yeah.
25,000, yeah, a month.
And has that fluctuated because of crime?
Yes, because crime is maybe the landing apartment, if new owner is coming and he fixed the apartment, and when maybe no criminal will and no gangster will live backside, maybe our property will be clean, yes.
Okay. Well, that's what I just wanted to know this, and I appreciate you answering that. That is it, and I appreciate you coming down. Go ahead.
I know you were talking about like what responsibility business owners have, and I understand. as a property owner, and we were talking about Little Caesars. Little Caesars will be leaving soon. They've been through their own share of problems, I believe, and now they're pulling out from our property because not of the property, but because of the area again. So we're already suffering the consequences. We have businesses pulling out, and unless we can fix it, there'll be more businesses pulling out. Then how are we gonna develop that area to a better place? We are still here. We're trying to make a change. So just help us out, please.
And I hear exactly what you're saying, and I appreciate that, because I want to say this. The way I see it, and I'm not casting blame on y'all, please know that. The way I'm seeing this too is it's the apartment complexes right around there that are causing most of the riffraff. And am I wrong or right? Okay. That's where we need to be focused on talking to these owners of these apartment complexes and doing something about that as well. And I don't want to just jump on y'all, because it isn't all y'all's fault. It isn't at all. And I don't believe in shutting businesses down, so please understand. Okay, thank you.
All right. Commissioner from the first, you back in?
Yes, sir. I just want to make a statement, then restate the motion. These narratives we're going around in circles on the narratives. I mean, this was Commissioner McKnight's motion, even possible closing. So, I mean, we're pulling back on. Can you restate the motion, Ms. Bonner? Just restate the motion.
I seconded your motion.
I know. Let me just hear the motion.
You might have
the motion was to direct Planning and Development to come back at our next meeting with a recommendation for probation.
Call for the question, Mr. Mayor.
All right, call for the question has been asked. Let's vote, guys. Give proper motion. Second, we're voting. Commissioner Mason's not here, so.
That motion carries 8-1.
All right, we've got one more.
Mr. Guilfoyle voting no.
We got an addendum item that we need to address. We already consented? All right, there's consent. All right, that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for being here today. This meeting is hereby adjourned.